How were you treated in school?
Kids would say, stop dressing like a lumberjack or go find some real clothes.
What did you think of Lumber Boy?
He was a strange kid. He always wore flannels and jeans. He tried to be something he wasn't.
What happened on November 9th?
Lumber Boy walked into my class like any other day wearing jeans and a flannel shirt. I answered the phone. It was a call from the counselor's office. Mr. Pine wanted to talk to him. I hung up the phone and told Lumber Boy to go down to the counselor's office.
Could you tell me about your conversation with Lumber Boy on November 9th? I told him that now that he was a junior, he needed to start thinking about his future. He told me he wanted to be a lumberjack. I laughed. I didn't mean to, but who really wants to be a lumberjack? He told me he wanted to be like his dad. I gave him the resources, and he took it and left.
Lumber Boy came back into the room and sat down. I had received a call while he was at the guidance office. I went over to Lumber Boy and whispered in his ear that his dad had died. Apparently, he fell in the wood chipper at the lumber mill.
You sat next to Lumber Boy, correct?
Yeah.
What do you remember from November 9th?
After our teacher told Lumber Boy the news, he pulled out a picture of his family and just sat there crying. Man, I felt bad for him.
I'm Lumberboy's best friend. After his dad died, I couldn't get a hold of him. It wasn't until 2 weeks later that I found out about the Lumberjack Championships.
How long after your father's death did you find out about the Lumberjack Championships?
The first few days were rough. I actually looked at the resources Mr. Pine gave me. But after all, I just want to be a lumberjack, and that's what I decided.
How did you help Lumber Boy prepare?
I was his neighbor, so I'd see Lumber Boy outside practicing his wood cutting. So one day I just went out there and talked to him, and he asked me for help.
How was the training?
I'm not gonna lie, the training was intense. I'd be in the woods for days at a time, just working on my technique and getting in tune with my axe. Chris really helped me though. I need someone on my side.
Did you ever see Lumber Boy after his dad died?
I never saw him after his dad died. He stopped coming to class.
Why did you stop going to class?
I used that time to prepare my mind. I studied the art of lumberjacking and used meditation to focus my mind.
Do you regret not going to school?
Not one bit.
How was Lumber Boy the days leading up to the championships?
Those days were rough for him because he would be training for days at a time and it would just break him. So, he was dedicated but tired.
How did your mom help you during your training?
She was really supportive and always there for me. She offered me words of wisdom. Mom, you're the real MVP.
How were you feeling when you got to the Lumberjack Championships?
I felt great. I knew that I was better trained than anyone else. I was confident I could win. No one else could chop as much wood as me.
You accompanied Lumber Boy to the championships, correct?
He's my brother, why wouldn't I?
How was he at first?
He was great. That was until they arrived. It was like a cold wind from the north. I shivered at the sight of them.
Turned out it wasn't just American lumberjacks. It was an international tournament.
I'll never forget the look on his face when the Canadians showed up. It was like all hope was lost.
How could I compete with boys that had been chopping their wood since they were little kids?
Nothing I said to him convinced him that he could win. He didn't see the point of competing if he had no shot. The night before the championship started, he went into his room. I didn't think he'd ever come out.
What happened that night that changed your mind?
That night I had a dream. I was sitting in a room and this boy appears. He says he's my father. But when he was a kid, he tells me that he won the Lumberjack Championships when he was a kid. He told me that he loved me and that I could do anything I put my mind to.
After that day, how was Lumber Boy different?
When I woke up the next morning, he had already left. I went down to the competition area, and he was already there.
I left early in the morning to be in the right environment and get my head, my axe, and my wood right.
I went up and talked to him, and he told me he was already ready.
What was going on in your head during the competition?
I was completely focused and ready to give my all.
After he won, I knew he didn't just do it for himself or his dad. He did it for America.
As I left the competition, I heard all my fans chanting, "Lumber Boy! Lumber Boy!" And that's when I realized all the hard work was worth it.
How has life changed for you since the World Championships?
I have more confidence, and I really understand myself now because I'm a true lumberjack, just like my dad.
What do you think of Lumber Boy now that he is a world champion lumberjack?
Ah, Lumber Boy. He is so dreamy. He wears his flannels like a true lumberjack.
Man, I'm jealous of him. He chops wood like no other. I wished I could have as much wood as him.
I'm proud to call Lumber Boy my best friend.